Hi, everybody. It's Mary Ellen from Create With Me, and I'm here in the Creativity Nest for another episode of Teach Me Tuesday. So today is Tuesday, November 21st, and I think you've probably already started on your Christmas cards. I don't know. I just have a feeling. But if you haven't, I have a really fun fancy fold. That's what we call cards that aren't just a normal fold in half card. It's a fancy fold. And I have a fun fancy fold using a stamp set called Precious Pinecones. I'm going to take you down to my desk in a minute and I'll show it to you. But I wanted to say before I do that the fun thing about this stamp set is it's 60% off today. So instead of the regular $22 here in the US, it is $8.80. So you can't really beat the deal like that. So here's the stamp set. It's called Precious Pinecones, and you might notice something a little different on it. So it is a photopolymer stamp set. That means that the stamps are clear, and you'll see them in a minute when I stamp. But it's two-sided stamp. So here's the pine cone, and then here's the back. So we're going to use both the front and the back of the pine cone, and then we're going to use some of the fancy leaves, and we're going to make a fancy fold. So are you ready to get started? Comment and let me know that you're watching so that I know that you can hear me, because I'm using a new microphone today, and I'm always a little nervous about whether you can hear me or not. So chime in, let me know that you're watching and that you can hear me, and we'll go ahead and get started. So what you're gonna need to create this card, I always this is a card that we did in class, and I always have a packet all set up. So the card base that I'm using is pecan pie. All the measurements are in the video header, or if you're watching on YouTube, they're down in the description. The piece is 8.5 by 5.5. It's pecan pie. You'll need a couple pieces of designer series paper, and these are 1 3/4 by 5 1/4, and then you need one piece that is 5 1/4 by 2 inches. I am using paper from the Christmas Joy of Christmas, the Joy of Christmas stamp set, Joy of Christmas paper. Then I've got a couple of the nested essential dies. I've got one cut in red, real red, and then I've got one cut in basic white. We're going to need a piece of cardstock that is for the back that's the same as the front, 2 inches by 5 1/4. I've got one for my scrap paper to punch my pine cones, and then I have a piece for the greeting. So let's go ahead and get started. You want to get your pencil and paper out so you can write down the scoring measurements if you'd like. So let me bring in my trimmer that has a scoring blade on it. We're going to get the cutting blade out of the way. Let me make sure I get this on camera so that you know. So on the long side up of your 8.5 by 5.5 cardstock, you are going to score it at 2 inches. So we're just going to use our scoring blade. 3 1/8. So that's 1 2 3/8, 3 1/8, and then 5 3/8 again. So it's it's 3 1/8, and I did 3 3/8, 3 1/8. Okay, I'm going to score that again. I'm going to remember it's my first score. I don't think it's no harm, no foul. 1 2 3. I got ahead of myself. 5 3/8. And then 6 1/2. I'm going to go over that again with you. And actually, I've got another piece of paper here, just because I don't want you to get messed up like I did. So better for me than you. 2 inches. If you ever do that, please tell me I'm not alone. 2 inches, 3 1/8, 3 1/8. 5 3/8, 1 2 3, 5 3/8. And then 6 1/2. I'm looking right at my measurements and I still made a mistake. So please tell me I'm not alone. 2 inches, 3 1/8 inches, 5 3/8 inches, 6 1/2 inches. We're done with this. Thank goodness for today. Okay, so let me show you how the card is going to fold. It's going to fold just like this. Okay, this is our fold. And whenever we're doing a fancy fold or even a basic fold, I always recommend that you use your bone folder to get a good crease on your cardstock. So just like that. All right. So that's going to be our card. So it's going to stand up like this. It's really a fun card. So let's go ahead and put some of our designer series paper on. Let's start with our 2 outside pieces. These are from the Joy of Christmas paper. And these are going to go right here on the outside, just like that. Okay, then we've got a piece that's going to go in the center. I decided to make the piece that went in the center just a little less busy. So I just used this fun wood grain so that our pine cones and everything would just have a nice base, but it wouldn't have the busyness of this designer series paper. So our card is going together just like that. Okay, so we'll set that aside for just a minute. Let's bring in our scrap paper. And I'm gonna show you how these pine cone stamps work. So here's the pine cone stamp. This is the image side, and this is the back side. So we're gonna start with the back side, and we're gonna bring in the pecan pie ink, and I am going to stamp it, and then I'm gonna stamp off. So that's all you're getting is just the background, and then I'm gonna stamp it, and I'm gonna do that twice. So we want 2 pine cones, okay? Then I can bring in my chamois. And I'm going to clean the back of that off. And I'm going to flip it around. Okay. And I've got 2 that I've already cut out for you. So I'm going to bring them in here. I cut them with my scissors, so you wouldn't have to watch me fussy cut. And then I'm going to stamp the pine cone full strength right over that background. So there's our 2 pine cones. Isn't that pretty? So having that little stamped off background from the back of the stamp just makes that image complete. If we didn't have that, our image would look just like this, which is pretty with the white, but having the brown behind it just makes it complete. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and stamp some of our leaves onto our Nested Essential Basic White. I'm going to start with Granny Apple Green. And this light leaf image here, Granny Apple Green, is a little on the light side. So I'm going to stamp one here. And I'm going to turn it around. And I'm going to stamp it going the other way, just like this. It doesn't matter if they match in the middle because we're going to be covering that with our pine cones. While I have that, I'm going to stamp the back. This is the part that I'm going to sign, that I'm going to put my name, happy, Merry Christmas. And I just want a little leaf there at the bottom. So while I'm stamping that, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to bring in some Old Olive, which Old Olive is just a little tone darker. And I'm going to take a smaller leaf, the smaller leaf in that same. These pads are a little on the dry side. Been slacking and getting them done. Inked up and juicy. And I'm just adding a couple more leaves to my main image right like that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this, tape this. I'm going to tape it to the real red. Just like this, right in the center. Okay. And then I'm going to take one of my pine cones. Let me get that started. And I want to have it right like this, just right on the, just hanging off. It's going to be hanging off. And then this one, I want to take some dimensionals. I'm going to use the dimensionals just at the top, and I'm going to put it up here. So it's like a little pine cone cluster just on the branches, just like that. We'll finish it off with a bow when we get done with everything. So I'm going to fold this like this, and I want to keep my glue here in the middle. The card's going to go together like this. So I'm going to take my tape, and I'm going to just adhere it just in the center so that it's not inhibiting my folding. Hi, Linda. Yeah, this is a great set. And like I said, right now it's on sale for $8.80. But just doing that, stamping off, it's so pretty. Okay, so here's the main image, just like this. And now we want to stamp our greeting On the front, we want to say Merry Christmas. So we're going to bring our pecan pie in and our Merry Christmas and stamp it right here. And we're going to take a couple of the dimensionals I have out. Sometimes I put them on one side and I can't find them anymore. We're going to finish this card off with the greeting that says Merry Christmas. It's going to go from side to side. We're going to add some of the silver. These are the festive pearls. So let me get my take your pick tool out. We're going to put some festive pearls. I like to do them in threes. 1, 2, and 3 off to the side a little bit, and then our bow. So I've got, I actually ran out of the ribbon that's the current red and had to go sneak some older red, but I just wanted you to get an idea of this. This is a bow that's called a fork bow. Originally, it's a fork bow. So if you can imagine, you're using a fork. I don't usually show this, but I think this is the best bow. So let me see if I can do it on the side, just as a tip. So you're going to fold I always put my ribbon off to the right side because I'm right-handed. I match them up. I want about 4 inches off to the side. I go under my bow. This is going to be the front of my bow. So I'm going to come back in front, and then I'm going to tie my knot. And I'm going to show you, this ribbon's a little satiny, so it's sometimes it's a little slip. Get good and tight. Then I can slip it off, and then you'll notice that this bow does not move. It's not going to slip off. It's not going to move. I've got it really, really long, so now I can just snip it to the length that I want. Just like that. And then I'm going to get a mini glue dot. And I'm going to put this right where my pine cones join together up here. And that's the illusion of them hanging, just like, I don't know, some mistletoe or something like that. So here's the front of our card, but we've got to complete the back. We've got to have a place where we can send a little greeting. So let's bring our pecan pie out again. And I've got the greeting that says, sending wishes for a wonderful and joyous season. I'm going to stamp that right there, and we'll finish the card back so that we have a place to sign it. Okay, so there's the back. We can sign it right there. Here's the front. And what's nice about it is it's a self-standing card, just like that. It's really, really nice, just like that. And then, of course, we don't want to neglect our envelope. So we could go back and I should have done this before while I had that turned around, but there's no reason why we can't stamp off and do our pine cone right on our card. Or we could do the bow. We'll stamp it off. We'll stamp it on the corner. We better leave that out, right? Then just flip our stamp around. And we're going to stamp right over it, just like that. And it just makes a beautiful image. And then you'll have a nice envelope to match. So we always want to do that. So, okay, so there's our card for today for Teach Me Tuesday. It's a fancy fold. I put the instructions up in the video header, so you can go ahead and let me see what you do with your card. Go ahead and post it in the Create With Me's creativity group. If you're not a member, the information is up in the header. Join the group, post your designs. We love to see it. We love to be inspired by you. And I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving here in the U.S. We celebrate Thanksgiving on Thursday. And I hope you are all going to be spending time with some family. So you guys have a great day. Bye, everybody.